thing is I've done some bodging. Boy, have I done some bodging. Probably going to rain in a bit, so I'll see what it's like for real. And there you can see. Divert that. Good morning. It's Sunday, and as you might be able to see, I'll do some really bad videoing. As you might be able to see, the garage is a mess again, which can only mean one thing, and that one thing is I've done some bodging. Boy, have I done some bodging. Yeah, so I won't, delay anymore. I'll go straight out and show you what it is. Right then. Let's go around all the mess. Food and drills. Right, there you can see it. I, as threatened or promised, I can't quite decide what's the best turn of phrase, to make some guttering out some 2-inch pipe for my filter shed. So it is a completely free project. I could have done with some cement, some glue. But in the end, I just used a heat gun on some of the pipes and kind of squished them together, and when it cooled, it was quite a good fix. And obviously, it's guttering, the water isn't coming out with it under any pressure, so it's not really a problem, to be honest. And then I, then I cut it. So what I did is I took off about the top third, I would say, not very accurately. Probably just took off a little bit less. And what I did is I used my grinder to cut through it, but put some sacrificial lengths of wood inside it so I didn't go through it too far. And then I ran some tape down it to give me a nice, relatively straight edge, and then did the cuts. Yeah, and as you can probably see, let's zoom in. Down that end, I've just got an end cap and a bit of squishing. There's some, I will go out and show you properly in a minute. There's some Gorilla Tape on it, but that's just to hide some of the messy fittings. It's not there to actually keep it on. And down the other end, I've got a 9-2, then I'm using another kind of quite bodged reducing affair, and then some 1.5-inch pipe. And that's basically it. I haven't decided whether I'm going to do one around the other side of the shed. But one, not as much rain kind of falls on it, which sounds counterintuitive, but it's true, I guess, because of the trees. And also it just seems to run off nicely, where the rain on this side tends to run down the side of the shed, which means obviously that shed's getting wet all the time, which is the point of putting this guttering on. Right, let's have a look. I don't want to shake too close because it's a mess. Let you run down there. That's all wet there because I've done some tests. And there you go. It's horribly messy, but it kind of works. I for the first time ever, I stood on this raised area. I never usually stand on there, just because I don't trust my own wall making. But I did, to get that middle bit in, which really needed to be in. And we will see. There's still a couple of drips that will miss the pipe somewhere along its length. But we'll see. It's probably gonna rain in a bit, so I'll see what it's like for real. And there you can see the drips. So yeah, so that's it. I don't know what I'm going to do with this water. I don't know if I'll get like a mini water butt and then we can use it for the plants and stuff. Obviously I'm not going to use it for the pond. But as I say, the water off this back one, I don't know if it's because I keep the lid to the multi-bay there, but it just seems to sort of clear it and drain down, and that wall of the fence never really seems to get wet. It's never really a problem. But yeah, so I might do something. I might even run it along here and down. I don't know. A lot will depend on what I do with that area there. It's probably not going to be very exciting. I need to cover up this pipe at some point. But yeah, that conduit there hides the, it goes underground obviously, is the electric cable to the skimmer. It goes underground under here, still in all that PVC piping all the way under the ground. And then under there is a box with connectors. So as I had to change the pump a little while ago, I don't have to dig up all this cable. I can just do a bit of connection down there, and that's in obviously very, very, very waterproof box. I can't think of the proper word. Yeah, but it just makes life easier. I still have to dig these pavers up when that pump goes, but I'm hoping I've got, you know, a few years. Now, being distracted by shiny things again, I put the camera in the pond again. I said I really enjoyed doing the underwater filming. The weather's not that conducive, but I wanted to film them kind of in mid and surface around the lilies, so I thought I'd stick it there. It's probably run its course, so I will dig it up in a bit. Dig it up. So I will take it out and have a look at some point. So yeah, that's what I've got up to on this sunny Sunday morning. It's very not. I've paused the telly because I had Would I Lie to You on. Yeah, and that'll probably copyright me. And as I do want to be monetized at some point, I better be a good boy and not do that really. So yeah, so I still have some 2-inch pipe. Let me just show you. I have some 2-inch pipe, and I've got, I think one of those grey ones is 2-inch up there as well. So I will maybe make another bit of guttering around the back just to be sure, but I think I've run out of 2-inch pipe clips now, so that would be tricky. But yeah, so it's going well today. The fish are feeding great out of the ring now. I ought to do a bit of a video on that at some point as well. But yeah, that's going really well. So I did put half a tiny orange in there, and they had a bit of a peck at it, but once it left the ring, they kind of lost interest. So either they didn't like it very much, or once it left the ring, it wasn't food anymore. I don't know. So what to do next? No, I'm not sure I'm going to do a lot more today. I've got some editing to do, and I've got some, what's it called? Come on, you can do it. I've got some script writing to do. There we go. Now, if you've seen all of that pause and waffling, it means I couldn't bother to edit that bit. And if you just hear this bit, I did edit it, but then if you hear this bit, I've only half edited it. So, edited it? Oh, I don't know. Anyway, vlog 3 came out today. I haven't looked to see how many people have watched it. Should I have a look? I could put it on the telly. Hold on one sec. Look, I'm on the telly. This would be a lazy video making, wouldn't it? Just film one of my previous videos. It's pretty. I mean, there's a few. So this intro that I started making, I quite enjoy doing. I don't think I've made the best of it because sometimes at the end of editing the whole video, I can't be bothered. I love this intro. I know the music is probably too loud, and it may not be everyone's taste of music, and you probably can't hear me now, but I love this intro I've made, and I've kind of adapted it for the vlogs by sticking that in, and then it, yeah. Good morning. It's Sunday. It's a lovely Sunday. And this was me last week. Anyway, I'll turn that off a minute. Right. So I'm trying to work out how I can keep videoing and show you numbers. I'll work it out. Hold on. Anyway, I couldn't work out how to work YouTube from my phone and video on my phone at the same time. So I've been that as an idea. So I've had 26 views so far this morning, which for me is kind of middling average. These vlogs don't seem to be getting as many views as my episodic videos, which are more sort of subject based, and I try to, you know, not waffle. I don't have my face in them as much, so, you know, viewers voting with your feet, aren't you? But anyway, whatever. But yeah, I'm keeping up with them because I'm enjoying them, and if nothing else, I'm sharing every silly harebrained idea that comes into my head with you. And I have quite a lot that never make it to reality. I may start doing a feature of Andy's harebrained idea of the week, or TGP harebrained idea of the week. We'll see. Let me know. Anyway, that'll be it for now. I may come back later. I may come back tomorrow. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, there might not be a lot because I'm working quite a lot. But obviously, you won't really notice. Might get this vlog down to like under 30 minutes, which is probably a good idea. Nearly an hour is probably too much. Who wants to watch me that long? I don't. I mean, I'm not really paying attention to me on the telly now, to be honest. Anyway, that'll do. I'll see you later. Good morning. It's Monday morning, and actually, it's not morning anymore. So let me show you what I've got up to so far this morning. Let it turn you around. As you can see, it's Monday. So I've been in the pond, hence my stuff hanging up to dry, but that's not what I'm going to show you first. In here, I've been making something, and it's totally unpond related, not pond related at all. I'm just making a reel for the hose that's out the front of the house to be wrapped around. It's just a bit of a bodge, and I'm just using up my many bits of spare OBS and pond fence paint. But anyway, yeah, I'll show you that when it's finished and the hose is around it. That's the only glimpse you're getting of it, because it's pretty dodgy really. Anyway, let's do something more interesting. So, as you know, probably I say this on every Monday part of the vlog. Mondays is when I get in the pond and I do at least 2 or 3 jobs, if not actually 3 jobs. The first job I do is to check the pump and then clear out any mess that might be in it to affect its flow rate, which I find it's doing with increasing regularity really. Just showing you the fish and showing you how well they feed out of the ring now. Yeah, it just seems to get blocked with things and it affects the flow a lot more, and yeah, it's a bit of a pain. I don't know if there's something wrong with the pump as much as it's a problem with stuff blocking it. The other job I do is I clean the bottom of the pond with a net, and just to get anything that the pond vac and my pump haven't got. And then I also cut the plants back, as you can see, because they are nicely the right height. But yeah, it's doing all right. Now the one problem I noticed, other than the pump, was that there seems to be a lot of algae and string algae, which once it takes root, as it were, is quite hard to get rid of. And yeah, it's a bit of a worry really. Now normally I treat it as soon as I see it, but because I didn't have any of the treatment I've got, and I didn't have a lot of money either, I've kind of let it overtake a little bit. So I pulled some of it out by hand, not all of it, just, and not really to get rid of it, just that once the treatment I do use starts working, all of that algae's got to go somewhere. And that normally means it blocks your pump up or it blocks your filters up. So it's a bit of a pain really. Yeah, but it's always why it's a good reason to treat it as soon as you see it and not let it develop. Yeah, so that's the fish having a feed. I think they spotted the camera on the selfie stick, and as I repeatedly say, they don't like that. Anyway, so yeah, I've done my job in the pond. They've splashed some of the pellets out and they're getting under the skimmer, but they've lost them, it's their fault. Yeah, I've edited a little short together and uploaded that to the channel today, which you may or may not have already seen by the time you watch this. Yeah, and I think the pond's about 20 degrees, which is pretty good. As I say, doesn't matter how hot it gets, it tends to get kind of stuck at 20 degrees. There's a jet flying overhead. Clear the tree. We're not, I was going to say we're near to Fairford, but we're not that near to Fairford, but we're close enough that when it's the Fairford Air Show, before and after, we tend to have a lot of jets and stuff going over. Videos I'm coming back to the ring. Anyway, let me turn you around. Anyway, that's my Monday. Got an optician's appointment later, so I'm not doing too much today. I'll finish off that silly hose reel, give it a few more coats. Might be able to get 2, maybe even 3, because it dries quite quick, that paint, even though you've got to do quite a lot of coats on OSB with whatever paint you use. I might give it a bit of a varnish as well before I'm done. I haven't got any UV safe varnish, but I don't really care. It's a hose reel I'm attaching to a wall. I don't really care. Yeah, and hopefully I'll be able to get some treatment for the algae soon and get on top of it. Other than that, water's doing fine, the fish are doing fine. They're still they're still going under the plant, even though there's no food under it. I think 1, because you know they expect there to be food, and 2, because I think I've mentioned before, quite a lot of stuff, excuse me, fish, quite a lot of stuff kind of congregates under that plant, so they see it as somewhere to go and explore anyway. I'll just turn you around again. I think they see it as somewhere to explore anyway. That meowing is my cat. So they're still going under it and still kind of fighting under it and being all boisterous. So it may mean that they continue to, it continues to be a problem of them getting injured anyway. I think my cat's actually going to be sociable and come round and see me. Hello. I say my cat, it's not my cat, it's my wife's cat. That's her sociability for now. She really wants to get on that fence, but she knows she's not allowed to. They like, as you can see from the rope, they like scratching along there. And even though I tell you off quite a lot, don't I, for that, down. I'm just going to do it. That's quite how agile my cat is. Meg, down. Yeah. You're going to be immortalised on YouTube. Well done, Meg. Anyway, there you go. She did once, I'll tell you a story about this cat. She did once, before I had all this fencing, and it was a time of year when these plants were all cut back. She was walking on the cut back plants down on these plant baskets, and I came out and told her off, and she went into, you know how young cats can get into a bit of a panic. She went into that bit of a panic, that fight or flight mode, and she didn't know, where shall I go? Shall I go that way? Shall I go that way? So she tried to jump over to there from a standing start, and cats are agile, but it was a little bit too much for her, and she jumped. And she flew and flew and flew and flew and landed there in the pond. Because that bit there that she was trying to jump is actually the widest part of the pond. It's about 9 foot. So yeah, that was a bit of an effort for her, really. And she landed in there. There she is. She landed in and then pulled herself out. Luckily she didn't tear the line up or anything, because I wouldn't have been best pleased. And then she went and sat on the conservatory, which I won't show you too much because the guttering's broke. Yeah, I made guttering for my shed and I've got that to repair. But anyway, yeah, and then she went and sat on top of the conservatory and sulked for a bit, and then she came down and let me dry her off. But yeah, fun times in the agile world of my cat. You coming up? Come on. Not if you expect me to. No, but she's a pretty good cat, really. She does what she's told most of the time. That's my porky mirror cup. Right, turning around once more. And that's probably all I'll do for today. I think that's probably it. If I do anything else, I might come back on, or I might just tell you about it tomorrow. But as I said, Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday, I'm quite busy with work, so I don't know, I'll get a lot done. So I might come back, show you stuff, one of those days. And I'll do a kind of bigger update on Friday. Hopefully I'll do something. I think I said a couple of weeks back that I'd bodged around the back of the heron fence with some little bits of stones around where I'd put pavers, and I'm gonna do a proper job with some of the rocks that I cleared out the other week, so I can show you that. And maybe on Saturday, as I said, or it might be Sunday, which will be in the next vlog, I'll be super gluing the carp fin. So look forward to that. Anyway, cheers, see you later. Hello, it's Tuesday afternoon. I'm taking a little break from work and doing a job in the pond. Now, as you may have heard me talk about, I've got a bit of an algae growth in the pond. It's not awful. In fact, sometimes I think string algae, which is what I've got, looks quite nice. If it just grow a little bit, rather than turn into like a field of wheat in the bottom of your pond, which I have had. In the first year I had my pond, there was more algae than water, it looked, when I left it untreated and didn't do anything. That was before I had a UV as well. But anyway, so I'm about to do a treatment for it. Now, I'm not going to tell you what I'm treating the pond with. And the reason for that isn't because it's some unique unknown treatment or because I do some weird dose. Well, I do less than the recommended dose because I've learned over time that I don't need to do the full dose and it will work. But the reason I'm not telling you is because I don't like to recommend things if I haven't really studied them properly. And I don't think me using them and them being all right and doing the job is enough kind of study. I like to look into things properly. So as an example, before I did videos on a moving bed, I've actually gone and done like proper academic scientific research. Well, I haven't done the research, but I've looked into papers that have on whether moving beds are better than static beds, for instance, because I want to take responsibility for the information I put out in my videos. Now, many people will say, in this kind of situation, this is what I do, but do your own research. And I think that's a little bit of a cop-out, because I think lots of us these days, when we're looking into subject, YouTube and Google and whatever is part of the research. So if you make a video and put it out on YouTube, that is what people will use as part of their research into what they do, whether that's a health treatment or whether that's an algae treatment. So I like to have done some proper research into something. So even though I've maybe not experienced any of the negatives of something, I'm still aware of them and I can share that. Now, I'm not expecting any of you to think, oh, the ginger pond keeper, he suggested that, I'm gonna do it without reading up on it. But I think still you've got to take responsibility for what you put out there and realise that, you know, you might not be people's only source of information, but you might be one of the sources. And I think it's kind of beholden on you to give as much information as possible. So I may well do that research properly into this treatment I use and put it out there. And then I'll do a proper video on it, because I do, you know, subjectively and anecdotally recommend it. It's always worked for me. I've never had any problems with the plants as a result of using it. I've never had any problems with the fish. You know, it's pretty good. But I'd like to get a wider picture of it before I make a video. Yeah. So you may think that's a bit strange, but that's my position. Anyway, I'll turn you around. There it is. Oh, sorry. I will give you another stir and I'll go and put it in the pond. And I'll try and do it kind of one-handed. The fish have just eaten, so they're not going to be best pleased with me. But they're still eating. Yeah, they're absolutely, completely and utterly happy with that feeding ring now. It's zero problems to them. Right, hold on 1 second. They're so kind of comfortable with it now that they go up and swim and peck at it and nibble at it to see if it would somehow produce food, even when it's empty. So it's good, it's working well. That's my very scientific application. Right then, there we go. Now that will look a bit cloudy. It doesn't stay that cloudy for that long though, I'll be honest. So I'm not too worried, but I won't see the fish for a bit unless they come right to the surface. Yeah, and I find over a couple of weeks it usually has a good effect. The problem is, because I've left it so long now, and the algae's got so long, that it will kind of clog the pump and the filters a bit. So a bit of extra work, but you know, it's not too bad. Maybe get in the pond twice a week and clean the pump. Right then, see you in a bit. Back, unsurprisingly, in my garage. And there you see my hose reel. Sorry, that's terrible filming again. Once again, I finished coating it in black fence paint and now I'm putting varnish on it. Don't ask me why. But yeah, I did say I wasn't going to show it to you again until it was on the wall. But yeah. Anyway, that's kind of it really for now. Not a lot. I'm not going to green screen. As you can see by me being off kilter. Yeah, that's kind of it for now, I think. I haven't really got much time today because as I said, I'm working quite a lot. So I treated a pond for the algae and I will maybe retreat it again in a couple of weeks. You put kind of like half dose in. I kind of put a 75% dose, sometimes as low as a half if I catch it really early. And one of the advantages of this treatment, I'm going down the recommendation route, aren't I? I do apologise. Is that you can use it in pretty much any temperature of water. So it's really useful because I do sometimes, or I have in previous years, sometimes got an algae bloom in kind of February. Very often I do actually, and I think it's often as things are starting to wake up in the pond, but the plants aren't really growing. And that's the kind of risky time. And I get a similar in autumn as the plants are starting to die off, but typically the fish are still eating quite a lot. So yeah, I often get an algae bloom then. Yeah, and it's not a problem for me. I mean, I could maybe, you know, get on top of nitrate a bit better with my filtration. Maybe I could start, you know, measuring the phosphates because that might have something to do with it. And what's the other thing I could do? I could look at my tap water, you see. My tap water has quite a large amount of nitrate in it, so straight out the tap. So sometimes when I'm doing too many top-ups, it can be kind of counterproductive for my pond. And I would generally like to lose less water when I did filter cleans, because one, that means I'm on a metered water supply, so that would be good for my pocket, but also it would mean I'd be putting less fresh nitrate into the pond, because I don't think my pond needs to have to deal with any more nitrate. So although my filters do really well with ammonia and nitrate, and the rare tests that I do, and I might do a test. I think I've run out of nitrate test kits, but I may do a test on one of these vlogs, not blogs, vlogs, and just kind of show you. But it's rarely any kind of measurement of ammonia or nitrate. The filters do really well on that, in spite of me feeding a lot more over the last summer and this summer. I fed a lot more than I ever have, and this summer especially because I've got more fish in the pond, more carp, sorry. So I'm feeding quite a lot of food and I don't really have any problems. So but nitrate, which obviously once the filters work on the nitrate, it then becomes nitrate, is a problem. And I think people often overstate how much plants use up, really, because I've got a lot of plants and they're growing a lot. You know, I cut them back yesterday and some have already grown 2 or 3 inches. You know, they're growing a lot, but still I think there's certainly enough nitrate for the algae as well. One other thing I'll talking about algae is my UV. Now my UVs the UV I've got doesn't really work on string algae. It works on all the microscopic stuff. But something I talked about in a previous video is I haven't replaced the bulb in my UV for 2.5 years. And I did do a little experiment in which I turned my UV off a few weeks ago, a couple of months ago. Can't remember exactly when, for about 3 weeks. And my water did start to go a little bit green, which is the microscopic algae. So that UV bulb is still doing something, even after 2.5 years, and you're meant to change them, I think ideally every 6 months, if definitely every year, but I don't find that. I don't find that at all. So anyway, I don't think the string algae is to do with that. I think it's to do with the sunnier weather and the amount of nitrate that's in the water. That's my guess. But the nitrate isn't harmful to the fish levels, which would really motivate me to do something about it. But it's just food for algae, really. Couple that with some sun and that's what you get. And as I said, normally I treat it as soon as I see it. When I can see bits that are about that long, I treat it straight away and it's gone, and then that's it. And typically on a typical year, the average year would be, I'll get one in February, I'll get one in the middle of summer, kind of this time, and then I'd get one in autumn. The last couple of years, I've had less algae blooms throughout the year, which is a good thing. I think that's kind of maturity of the system, both the artificial filtration system and the pond itself. So I think it's doing well. I'm not, as I said, I'm not worried, genuinely not worried. It's just a bit of a pain, because obviously I've had to buy the algae treatment, and then that algae just doesn't disappear into thin air. When it dies off, it gets into your filters and gets into your pump, and I have enough problems with my pump as it is. So there you go. I may see you tomorrow, I may not see you till Thursday, or I may see you Friday. I don't know. I will definitely see you Friday if I don't see you then. Thanks for carrying on watching, and I will see you soon. Hello, it's Wednesday afternoon. There's a little interesting, slightly louder than normal noise coming from a pond. So I'll turn you around and I'll show you what it is. Right. It is my skimmer outlet. So I've got a 90 degree that's normally on that, and it's come off because I don't actually glue it in or seal it in any way, because I often turn it around and adjust it for various reasons, and it's found its way over here. There it is. So I'll just go and stick that back in. Now, I guess I could fix it in somehow, but generally it makes my life easier not to. Oh. Now we'll see if I can fit it in one-handed and not fall in. Hold on a second. There we go. Yeah, I like having that 90 in because it allows me to send the water in hold on a sec. Send the water in whatever direction I like, really, which is always helpful. There we go. Right, you can probably see, hold on a second, the algae. I've got a better view of it there. Yeah, and it's pretty much on all the walls now, really. Anyway, hopefully that'll be dying off soon after yesterday's treatment. The water's still a little bit cloudier than normal, a tiny bit, but it'll be back to normal soon. Right, so that wasn't that much of a disaster, was it? Right, my next job, as it's a Wednesday, is to do the mini clean, which really, into the shed, only involves cleaning the pressure filter and the Tempest. There you go. See what the temperature is. This one here, 19.8. Anyway, I don't think I'm going to show you all of this, just because some of it's hard to do one-handed. But the first job is to open up that I've loosened it a bit. God, I've loosened it and it still can't do it one-handed. Shocking. That's better. There we go. Right then. Into there. Divert that. It's coming out of there. And then do a bit of a pump. That done. And now I'll wait for that to run clear. Won't take too long, but as you may know, if you have a pressure filter, doesn't mean it's actually clean inside. And as I've kind of said a couple of times, I need to do a proper clean of that pressure filter. Give it a little bit longer. Right, that'll do. Oh no. Time to put that on yet. Right then, so pause that, close that, and then redirect that, and then give the tempest a boil. What I normally do now, whilst that's doing that, is have a sit down. So yeah, I'm doing this on my lunch break from work. One of the joys of predominantly working from home is, yeah, you fit these jobs in your lunch break. Hold on a sec. I just realised in my Tempest that I'd left the bottom valve open, which was okay because it couldn't actually get out because it all comes down to that point in the sump with the ball valve. So water wasn't actually coming out of the Tempest, but just as I was boiling it then, and obviously I don't open the gate valve because I use an air pump to boil it. Yeah, it was starting to drop then, which was a bit weird. Never mind. Could be worse. Yeah, I'm doing this in my lunch break, which means I'm doing it in a bit of a rush. Hence why this won't be the greatest video. I'll probably chop it to do lots of chopping and filtering. Yeah, but this is my only pond related job today. I was going to do some other stuff, but yeah, as I say, I'm working quite a lot today, and yeah, I haven't really got time to do much else. So I thought I'd show you what I do, and basically this is all I do, to be honest. Is I clean the give a little clean to the pressure filter, boil the Tempest twice normally, and then top it back up because I usually lose a bit of water. And when I cleaned the pond on Saturday, I didn't fill it up to its fullest because we're expecting lots of rain, and that rain hasn't really materialised. So yeah, the pond's a bit low anyway, so I'll top the pond up. Don't really want to, as I was saying yesterday, because of nitrate and stuff, but yeah, I'll top the pond up properly. And as I was talking about that 90 degree that I very clumsily refitted, I kind of adjust it depending on a few things really. The depth of the water, how noisy or not I don't want it to be, and how much sort of oxygen. So the more it kind of makes a noise and bubbles the water, and I guess the more that is pointing upwards, the more oxygen you kind of get in the water, and it's useful for that. and obviously I can change the flow. Before I put the air disc in, I always used to point it straight down because I used to get a lot of dirt. It would drop to the bottom there. So I used to point it straight down, that used to clear it. But now I've got the air disc there, I don't get a lot of detritus down in that bottom corner anymore. So yeah, I don't need to do that. This is a really waffly video, isn't it? Yeah, it's because I'm doing it in a rush. This is my, I've got 40 minutes I think for my lunch break, and I've already done some stuff. And I don't want to spend it all doing pond stuff either, so I'm rushing it a little bit. I'm going to drop the Tempest, hold on. I'm back, and as you might be able to see, yeah, the Tempest is dropping. And so basically on this, as I say, I do this a couple of times, so I only drop it twice. My Tempest needs a proper clean, as does my pressure filter. I just don't enjoy doing it, so 1 minute. Yeah, back again. Yeah, I don't really enjoy doing the big clean. I'm definitely going to wait till I get my tap around here sorted, because it's a lot easier using the power washer, because I power wash everything. And yeah, so I'm going to get that done within the next 2 weeks. I should really do it next week, I think. I'll see what work's like, and then I might get it done next week. But yeah, it's a bit of a pain of a job. There is a video. Look up there. There's a video of me doing it, and it is, yeah, it's a bit of a pain. And if people have said, you know, power washing the sponges in the pressure filter isn't a good idea because you lose bacteria, and you do, but to be honest, I haven't got the pressure filter for that, so there's a lot of other places in my filtration to have beneficial bacteria. Pressure filter isn't one of them really, so yeah, I don't worry too much about that. Although someone did point out, you can put the hose from your power wash, depending on if you've got a self-priming power washer, put the hose into your pond and just use pond water. So I might give that a go as well. So that's probably a good idea. Anyway, I'm going to finish this off and I'll get back to you. Right, so that's all that done. I just got to turn the water on, fill the pond back up a bit. Oh God, enjoy this filming. There we go. Fish always seem to like the water coming out of there, and tend to swim underneath it. So I don't know what to think about that. Yeah, sorry this has been a bit rushed. I'm contemplating whether you're going to see it or not. I'll give it a bit of an edit and then I might decide. Yeah. So I just keep an eye on that now whilst I'm working. Hopefully I won't overfill the pond, and I'll see you later. Hello, it's Friday. We have a tumble dryer on. I'm not going to turn it off. Right, so I've done quite a lot today. Some of it pond related, some of it not really pond related. But I'm going to take you around and show you what I've done. And then I'm going to have a little chat about some plans I've got for next week, which may well be in the category of harebrained schemes of mine. In fact, almost definitely will be. But you can maybe help me out on that. I'll say now, I don't think I'm going to do any video in tomorrow, which is Saturday, so this might be the last one. So this video might be the end of the vlog. You'll know when you get to the end of it, because I'll say goodbye and I'll do all the countdown stuff and all of that. Anyway, let's turn the camera around and I'll show you what I've been doing. Right, first thing is out the front, which I'll show you briefly. Here we go. There's my £0 and 0 pence hose reel. There's my outside tap to the front. Yeah. And I know it's a little bit rubbish, but you know, I had to use, sorry. I had to use things that I had lying around. So the paint had to be what I had lying around, OSB, some doweling, and yeah, not brilliant, but it will do the job. I'm happy with that. Right, let's go outside here. There you can see I've made a scratching post for my cat. Now, if obviously, I hope you've watched earlier in the video, and I showed you along here where my cats like to scratch, and one of my cats very amusingly jumped up on there and fell off. Well, to try and reduce the amount of damage they do to that, I've made a scratching post for them in the garden. It's just very temporarily stuck in the ground, really. I mean, it's not super wobbly, but yeah, I haven't permanently put it anywhere because I'm not sure where I'm going to put it, and as I said a lot of times, I'm not sure what I'm doing with this whole border area, but yeah, that's a good job. Right, the next thing I've done is finish the outside tap, and there you can see, which will be really good because next week I've really got to do the what's it called, do the big clean on the pressure filter and the Tempest. So that'll be really useful having that there, and it'll be really useful having that there just doing the regular cleaning as well. Here's my big greedy carp. Yeah, just to rinse things out and stuff like that, and it's just very useful having that there. Yeah, we should feed him, shouldn't we? Hold on a sec. Doo-doo. Some food. Everywhere's still a mess, as usual. There it is. Drop the pellets in. Now they've got really used to the feeding ring, but what they haven't got used to is me standing over the pond after I fed them there. So what puts them off now isn't the feeding ring, it's me. So I've gone to hide, but I think they can definitely still see me. So this is me nervousness rather than the feeding ring nervousness. And again, I've got the camera on the tripod selfie stick thing, and it always puts them off. And shock horror, that carp with carp box is the first one to come up and have a look. It's just so consistent. There you go. Now, I don't think they mean to do it deliberately, but if you've ever watched nature programs and seen when orcas splash or create a wave to knock seals off ice floes, they do a similar thing, although accidentally, in that they'll do a big splash near the pellets, and then loads of the pellets will then be released from the ring. But I don't think we can credit them with doing it deliberately, to be honest. But anyway, I'm putting them off, so I'm going to leave them alone and come back inside. Right, so that's the three things I've done. I've done that reel, hose reel. I've done a scratching post for the cats, and I finished the tap. Now, tomorrow, let's sort my, turn you round, turn the camera round. Yeah, right, so tomorrow I'm quite busy with I've got to do the pond clean, as I said, but I've got lots of non-pond related stuff to do, so I might not get a video out. So what I think I'll do on this Friday video, is I'll do all the goodbye stuff and all of that as if I'm ending the vlog, and then if I do get to video tomorrow, I will just cut this bit out, or that bit out. You know what I mean. I'm learning. Right, so what about ideas for next week and ideas I've got? Now, you may have heard me mention that I'm having trouble with my pump. So what happens is, as I've said lots of time before, and as you can probably guess, I have lots of plant matter that gets in the pond. Not just from the plants that are in the pond, but also plants on the planted wall area around the pond, but also the trees from outside my garden. And it's a pain. So what happens, what slows my pump down is sort of bits of plant matter that are kind of long like that, and almost sort of twig-like, and long bits of algae, and just all the various plants. And again, as I've said before, lots of the plants in and around the garden die off and die back, and things get taken out of them, and birds are nesting in them, so stuff falls out, and it invariably ends up in my pond, and therefore a lot of it will end up in the pump. And it's that stuff that's blocking my pump, or at least slowing down the impeller. So it's becoming a weekly job now that I take the cage off, that thing off. Then I take the, don't worry, that's not the one from the pump in the pond. That's a spare. I take the cage off, then I take the blue bit off, can't remember what the names are, and then I can get to the impeller and I can clean all the muck out. And yeah, that works really well, but it's a real pain to do because I can't, although I can just disconnect the pump from the pipework, because the electric cable is cable tied to the pipework, I can't get the pump right out of the pond really easily. And so I'm doing it half supporting it in the water, and I've already lost one screw. So yeah, it's a bit of a pain really to do. And yeah, I'd like to avoid it. And I don't know if it kind of, over time attritionally damages the pump as well. So yeah, I'd like to avoid it, and it's just another job to do that I'd rather not. So I've got some ideas, and these may well be on the harebrained scheme of the week list. But so that's the cage, and as you can see, if you don't own a Vari pump, it's got long kind of slits in it, and water's drawn in through that end there, and also through those slits. And those kind of twigs and plant matter like that kind of pass through that quite easily and then get into the impeller. So my plan is, can I reduce the size of the holes in this, and will that stop that larger plant matter? Because it's not like fish poo that's blocking the impeller. That's not doing it. That's passing through. It's all good. It is this stuff. So the options are one of these. Now, if you've watched videos on how I clean the pond, you will know that I use a pond vac, and on the outlet pipework to the pond vac sits in a bucket, and my dirty water pump then pumps that to waste into a drain. And I put one of these net bags over the end of that, again to catch the larger stuff that would block the dirty water pump. So I wondered if I could use something like that. Now, that obviously has its own problems. And the problems are, it will not necessarily take in all the waste, and fish poo might not always move through that either. And then really quickly, that will just get covered with plant matter and algae and fish poo and whatever. So that'll end up reducing the flow rate anyway. But that's easier to clean than taking the pump apart, because I can scrub it with a brush, or I can turn the pump off and I can use the pond vac and it will clean the outside of it. Or I can get in the pond and pick it up and clean it. But it's all easier than having to take my pump apart and remove things from the impeller as I'm balancing it above the surface of the water. That's all easier. The other idea, bear with me, this bag fits too well on this cage. Right, the other idea is using this stuff. Now, if you've seen my video about my moving bed, I've got a length of 2-inch pipe in the moving bed, which is the outlet pipe, and it's about that long. And what I've done is I've cut segments out of it, so there's very little of the pipe left, just a sort of narrow framework. And what covers that is this stuff. So the K1 micro can't pass through there, but there's enough surface area that water can flow out really easily. Now this stuff, not to can over, this stuff is actually designed to go around small trees like saplings and stuff and protect them from deers and just damage in general as they grow. So it's quite robust, and it retains a nice sort of cylindrical shape all by itself. So I could wrap that around there. I'm not showing you properly, but you get the idea. Again, this is probably, let me hold it up to the camera. I don't know if you'll be able to see. No, I think they're probably about the same. The holes are probably, maybe this is a little bit bigger. And again, that would probably have the same problems as this. But, you know, I find most solutions aren't perfect. You know, you may get rid of one problem, but you just have another problem. But it might be a problem that's easier to live with, which is what I'm hoping. If you've any ideas, or you've done a similar thing, if you've got a vari pump in a pond, because obviously lots of people, and probably most people you'll see on the internet have vari pumps, have them outside the pond as part of a gravity-fed system, so wouldn't have these issues. But if you do, let me know what you've done. And yeah, I mean, if all the waste in the pond was just fish poo, I don't think it would be a problem, because fish poo just gets pulled in through the impeller, you know, and the impeller actually breaks it up more than anything, which can be seen as a bit counterproductive, because if it remained a bit heavier, it would just all get taken out by the vortex, or more of it would get taken out by the vortex. But yeah, it's what it is. So yeah, that's my thoughts on that. If you've got any ideas, let me know. What else am I going to do next week? Well, for next week's vlog, I will be super gluing the carp. Not the carp, the carp's fin. The fish are looking really healthy. Now, they're eating well. As long as I don't... They were getting used to me feeding in the place I was feeding. But now I'm going around the side a little bit and dropping the pellets in the ring. They have to get used to that again. And I don't know if it's because they're wild strain carp compared to koi, but they take a long time to trust what you do, you know. But interestingly, if I was to drop pellets in that ring and then walk around the back of the pond next to the filter shed, they can still see me, but they're not bothered. And I think that's because for quite a long time when I've been doing the pond cleaning, I've always fed them from that position, just to kind of, you know, kind of get them used to me being around that side of the pond and cleaning the pond, and, you know, getting them to associate it with food rather than something to be worried about. But because if I just drop it in the side, I'm not always going to walk around the back of the pond, you know, I've got better things to do in my time. So they've just got to get used to me doing it, really. So yeah, it was chucking it with rain yesterday, and I just chucked it in from the door in the vague direction of the ring, and they were super happy. But anyway, the point I was making is the damage to their mouths and the top of their head is healing up, and they don't seem to have new ones. So is that because, although they do still spend some time underneath that plant that covers the pond, they're doing it in a less competitive, trying to catch the food kind of way. They're just exploring. So maybe the whole feeding ring's worked. But as I said, I'm not really keen on it as an idea. I'd like to think of a solution, really, that doesn't involve a feeding ring. And it doesn't involve not having the plant, because I really like that plant there. Although the leaves and that aren't so kind of thick and lush during the winter, it still provides cover over the pond, which is good for the fish. And yeah, so so that plant's staying. I've just got to find a way of stopping them hurting themselves on it, because they're a bit dumb fish, aren't they? Anyway, that'll do for definitely today, but probably for the week. I'm at 916 subscribers, which is 84 away from 1,000. Every time I do that, I estimate the animation text that I put on and how long it is. I should know how long it is because I edit it. I should work it out and then I could just count, but I just guess it. So I may have come in too early there or left too big of a gap. You'll see in the edit, as will I. Yeah, 84 to go, which is really good. And, you know, for quite a long time ago, you know, sort of a year ago, I never thought I'd get this close. It's slowing down, as are my views, but that's fine. That's life. I think my views went up quite a lot because I was doing filtration related episodes, and they always do quite well. If you talk about filtration or you talk about a pond build or or that sort of thing. And they always do better than lots of other videos, so that's cool. But yeah, we're still heading to a kind of Christmas time, my birthday, which is January, beginning of January, that I'd like to hit 1,000 by. That'd be quite cool. Anyway, I'm done. Thank you very much for watching again this long and mess of a vlog. I really appreciate it if you stick to the end. It's really good. I'm very, very pleased. If you've liked it, please like, please comment, please share, and if you're not subscribed, go on. You know you want it. You can. It's free. And sometimes my videos are more organised than this. Anyway, thanks again for watching, and I will see you next time.